Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. So ahead of my time, late means I'm early. My age is reversing. I'm basically 30. Amazingly sturdy, zany and wordy, brainy and nerdy, blatantly dirty, insanely perverted, rapey and scurvy. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast. I'm Guy Pigden.
And I'm Harley Neville. Who was that?
That was Eminem on one of Big Sean's tracks.
Big Scene.
Big Scene, as you like to call him. No Favors from the new album, I Decided. And that he's basically, it's kind of a weird, it's really quite weird. Like, it's a good song, but basically Eminem is like his Slim Shady persona. Yeah. And Big Scene is basically just Big Scene to us talking about like regular normal stuff. Yeah. So you got one guy kind of rapping about like being a
rapey, scurvy carrying
like mass murderer. Yeah. And you've got the other guy just rapping about like, you know, I made it to the top and I'm quite successful and I worked hard. Yeah. And like there's like absolutely no through line. And I believe what happened is they basically sent the track to Eminem.
He laid down what he wanted.
And then they were like, so we can have Eminem on this track, or we can say, that we were kind of thinking something less murderous. Yeah. And so they obviously just put it on the track, which I'm all right with, but it's kind of interesting.
Seems like Big Scene should have adjusted his verses to accommodate that slightly.
Well, he definitely should have.
Maybe add in a little bit of rape.
He definitely should have.
Murder, so on.
He should have done
I'm a bit sick of Eminem's shtick, to be honest. You know, like, I have a lot of admiration for the man.
He's only been doing it for 20 years.
yeah, well...
Imagine what people are thinking of us, Harley.
With this fucking podcast. They're like, yeah, I get the shtick. You guys are a couple of dickheads that talk about yourselves for an hour.
And wanking.
Lots of wanking and fart jokes.
Speaking of which, stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. There are some coming. Yeah. Well, so I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit sick of the whole horror rap thing. You know, it's like we get it, dude. You want to be ICP? We get it. We get it, Marshall. You're inspired greatly by the Insane Clown Posse, and you like horror rap. I get it, but you know, I don't like horror rap. I much prefer the stuff where he's talking about real life problems. But I think that's kind of the issue, is that as he got older, he's got less real life problems as he became a multi-millionaire, and now his problems...
As he became the most successful rapper / maybe just music artist in the entire world. Yeah.
But fuck Beethoven. Fuck him. It's Eminem.
He basically just stopped having so many problems.
No, well, he still had problems like, boo-hoo, I'm a drug addict. Yeah. Boo-hoo, I almost overdosed in my bathroom. But
boo-hoo, my best friend died.
Boo-hoo, my best friend was shot in the head after he started a fight outside a club with a bouncer.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, but overall, just not so relatable as they once were, to me. And it's also because I'm maturing, right?
Well,
I was 16 when I first started listening to Eminem, and I was like, yeah, bitches, fuck bitches.
Well, one of my favourite lines, I still quite enjoy it, which is from the Slim Shady LP, which I may have listened to, or I certainly listened to it almost as much as the Marshall Mathers LP, the seminal Marshall Mathers LP, but the bit where he's like, hello, mother, are you there? I still love you. I never meant to hit you over the head with that shovel. And I was like, he's joking about murdering his mum. That's great.
Genius.
This guy's really funny. Yeah. And I think, at 16, that is what you're going to find really funny, whereas at 33, some of us, maybe not so much.
Yeah, but he doesn't even rap about that stuff so much anymore anyway.
No, he doesn't. he's made peace with his mum.
Yeah. So
It's
on the show this week. We've been a little bit. I guess we should probably actually, straight away address why we've
Address the
had a
controversy.
bit of a delay,
Layoff.
an unannounced hiatus of a few weeks. Now, it's not that we don't think of you guys. It's not that we don't love you. It's that we've been incredibly busy, particularly Guy, incredibly busy with, a number of projects which we're working away on, but also the big one was Immi The Vegan, our web series, which
Immi The Vegan.
which was
Immi The fucking Vegan.
a pilot TV show a pilot web series that we created alongside Immi and other talented people, and it's for $100,000, which the TVNZ and NZ On Air are currently putting up for grabs, and everybody has to shoot a pilot, a fully fledged pilot, submit it, and then it goes to some sort of public vote. We don't really know the rules yet, and then after that, hopefully you get $100,000. But there's only one lot of $100,000 going, and I personally know of like 5 or 6 different teams that are submitting, and that's just me personally.
Every fucking retard in the film industry is submitting for this.
I acted, including our one, I acted in 3 separate New Blood pilots.
Hedging your bets?
I was hedging my bets, yeah. And so, that just goes to show, though, if I personally am acting in 3, well, then there's obviously a lot of people applying. And so that's a little bit disheartening, It's like
Yeah.
okay, cool. We did make a great product. I think it turned out really well. It's got very high production values. You can see the hours that have been sunk into it, I think. It's finished to a very high and professional standard.
You can see the hours that are sunk into it etched on my face.
Well, that too. And so it does look great, and I think it has a lot of potential. But just that idea that there's only one winner really kind of makes me feel like it's probably not going to be us. As much as I would like it to be, but it's not that I don't believe in the product. It's more that I don't believe in the system.
Yeah. Well, I think that's my problem, fundamentally. I don't believe in the system. I've lost faith in the system. The system remains indifferent.
Yeah.
The system does not care about me, personally.
Oh, absolutely not.
And is not invested in seeing me do well or prevail, or any of my projects that I may be affiliated to, because this is just a project that we have worked on. It's not our project as such, as Immi was the one who wrote and created it.
Yeah. Well, Immi wrote and created it. Well, Immi wrote it, but, we all contributed to the creation of it.
I guess so, yeah.
It wouldn't be the same if any of us were not involved.
But what's that fucking a gay line that you got in your poem?
Gay?
The world is...
derogatory use of the word gay, everybody. Guy just used gay in a derogatory term.
The world is cold and indifferent. What is it, the line?
The world is cold and uncaring. The world, which implies... The world is cold and uncaring, which implies that we're alone and it's scary.
And well, that's what the system is, cold and indifferent, and it reminds me of why I want to give up.
Right, but you don't actually want to give up. See, the great thing is that Guy will never give up because he's got nothing else to do.
And I got too big of a chip on my shoulder. I've literally got too big a chip on my shoulder. I wouldn't know where to put all that negative energy.
Well, look, not to get you down or anything, but you don't have any skills in any other industries either.
Zero.
So like it's you're in for the long haul.
Yep.
But when you start at 16 and you're now, I'm 34 in about 9 days or so. Now, when you start at 16 and you do it for that long, I think there comes a certain point where you're kind of like, well, yeah, obviously, this is it for me. I'm not going to change industries at some point. You might wiggle around within that industry, but you're not going to give it all up and study to become a plumber.
Yes.
Or an accountant, or open a cafe or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we all know that there's no chance of you giving up. Thank goodness for the likes of me. I'll just keep on riding on your coattails,
but there is
claiming all the credit.
There is a chance of crippling depression.
Yeah, well,
there are things to look forward to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my time has been really taken up with that, really all of it.
Yeah.
Really every waking minute of my day that I'm not at work.
Because Guy was directing, but that comes with obviously some pre-production, but also
It's like a deal with the devil.
it
you
is.
know?
Well, if you
You
want,
make you get to direct, but then he's like, yeah, but now your soul is mine if you want to finish this thing.
yeah, and also it's like that old saying.
Teach man to fish.
No, I can't remember what the saying was. But yes, anyway, a Guy needed to finish it to a high standard because it's his name
That's right.
that's next to it. And right, so if he directs it, but then the post-production is poor, people aren't going to go, wow, great directing. Shame about the post-production. They're going to go, oh, that was shit.
That was
Guy Pigden is shit.
Guy Pigden is a shitty director.
Guy Pigden, yeah, it's
a
like
shitty flash in the pan director.
It's like that old saying, if you want something done right, get Guy to do it. That's what I always say. Because, you know that he's going to give it the full detail, all the attention that the details need of, say, for example, so in post-production, Guy edited it, but he also supervised the color grade. So we obviously worked alongside talented industry professionals to do the post-production stuff. Guy didn't do all of that, but it still requires some supervision and some direction and stuff like that to get it, in the way that you want it to look when you were directing it originally, when you're directing the shots. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do even after your job of directing is done.
That's very true. Also, I think there's this thing where when you think about a web series, I think about a web series that we did a decade ago.
Yeah.
The Project.
Yeah.
And I go, how much was that? Oh, that was heaps of work, but I was doing other things as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, so it's probably about that much work. But then you go, well, hang on a second. No, because now we do go through the post-production process of a grade, of a sound mix, which we just used to do what I could do.
Yeah.
And however well I could mix it. And so actually it's essentially the equivalent of making a short film. We just made a short film.
Well, it's actually only 2 minutes shorter, if that, than No Caller ID, our last short film.
Yeah, I think it's about one and a bit minutes shorter.
Well, let's not nitpick.
Okay.
It's approximately 2 minutes.
And so, and while there wasn't anything overly complicated to do in that, so it wasn't you wouldn't call it a super ambitious short film that you were trying to do. Just a stock standard short film. But actually those are really quite a lot. They're quite hard. They actually need quite a lot of
Well, you're talking
love.
about Immi The Vegan.
Yeah, Immi The Vegan.
Yeah.
They need so it's not like our crazy over-the-top sci-fi idea.
No.
But also you wouldn't try and complete that in a 2 or 3 week period either.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing is
that's kind of a good thing about the New Blood is that at least the post-production has to be rushed through, but not that it doesn't mean rushed and done to a poor standard. But it does mean quickened. You've got to get it done because the deadline was the 31st of March. And so it's okay, well, it's got to be done. And that's kind of a good thing because now it's all wrapped up and done instead of being another 5 months of, slowly working through the post-production and eventually it's ready to be released.
It's a good thing, as in now that it exists, but it's not a good thing for my sanity, So, weigh up these things sometimes.
Yeah.
So, we've been very busy with that. I do apologize to the listeners that we have not gotten, but honestly, Harley was like, we're doing the podcast. It's like, no, I'm going to work. We're doing the podcast. No, I've got to finish this thing for
I was batting for you guys, man. I was batting for you guys.
For Immi The Vegan. Are we doing the podcast? No, I've got to sleep. I have to go to bed now.
I've been up for 28 hours.
I've literally been awake for 28 hours today, and I need to have a nap. And
I was like, where's your dedication, Guy? What about the Filthy 50?
For fuck's sake, Guy, not very committed to the cause, are you? So that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. Also, I was very sick for a week as well. I don't get sick that often, maybe once or twice a year, although I think it's honestly been over a year since the last time I was really sick. Well, not counting the time that I almost died from the drug trial. The drug trial.
Yeah.
But so that was actually the last time. The drug trial was the last time that I was really sick, and that was a different kind of sick, obviously.
Tune in if you are not familiar with that story. Go back through the archives. The Guy and Harley podcast is on iTunes.
2 episodes.
It's on Libsyn. There's 2 episodes there
that talk a little bit about that.
Document it. We record live from Guy's drug trial.
I forgot about that.
Guy got busted by the nurse halfway through the episode as we were trying to record over Skype, and spanked like a petulant child. And then
because at this point I was so weak and docile that someone could just turn me over and spank my bum, and I'd have no recourse.
also, Guy does have a fantasy about a nurse spanking his bum, so he didn't fight that hard anyway.
Despite the fact that she was 73.
Yeah, well, nurse is nurse. Nurse doesn't imply age.
That's true. No, but anyway, so listen back to that. That was the last time I got. So I got really.
We don't know which episode it is, sadly, or what it was called.
No, I can't remember any of these details now. Foggy haze.
Go back and have a look, guys. I'm just gonna whip my t-shirt off to make this episode quite sexy, because it's
quite hot in here.
It's very hot, and it's like Auckland is very humid at the moment.
Very muggy.
It's like Thailand, but without the red light district.
It's like Thailand, but without the beautiful Asian women.
Yeah, well,
there's a few around.
There's a good amount of beautiful Asian women in Auckland.
I guess you're right. That's true.
That you can't really make that claim.
So I was very sick while I was doing it. And the worst thing about being sick is doing hard work when you're sick. Because all you want to do is just lie down, eat a bloody pizza, and just veg out and watch movies or something. The last thing you want to do is like do a full fucking extra day shoot and then edit it and all that stuff. You do not want to do that when you're really ill. I'm not just talking about like a little cold. I'm talking about like a.
He was definitely very sick. He was so sick that I was like, ooh, better start my hot honey lemon gingers early this year.
Because you thought that I might give it to you.
Well, that you might give it to me, and also just that it's around.
What is around? A few people have been getting sick. I've noticed, obviously, since that happened. So I think there is just a sort of a flu going around. So that's where we've been, but it's done now. It's dusted. It's sent away to them.
Yeah.
And also just a quick...
resounding success as well, I would add. Like, I think it's very good. I think it's funny. It's not written by us, which means there's no dick jokes. There's literally not a single dick joke in it.
There's not a single sex joke in it.
There's no sex, no farts, no dicks.
Really, completely out of our element.
Exactly. And the dicks, farts, and sex are probably the thing that alienate us most from a mainstream New Zealand audience, potentially. And so this is nice. It's nice to try something that's clean humour. Clean, quirky humor.
Good, clean fun.
Yeah. So I think I do think it's funny. I laugh quite a lot at it. I think the performances are really funny, and every time I chuckle. So I think it's good. And another great strength of it is that it's Immi the Vegan. So it's obviously got this vegan storyline in it, which, as far as YouTube is concerned, when they told me at the New Zealand YouTube Creator Days, which is something that I was lucky enough to be invited along to both times that they've had them, they said, find your niche, have a niche market. If your videos are about squashing cans of Coke in a fucking press, well, that's great. That's a niche market. That's very specific. And those people that are into seeing shit get crushed are going to tune in.
What is that fetish called?
There's not a fetish for crushing Coke. There's a fetish for crushing small animals.
What is that called?
With bare feet and high heels and stuff. It's called Crush, I think. I think it's called Crush, and so it's a online subculture fetish where people get off from watching videos of small animals being tortured, and the cuter they are, the more enjoyable it is. And so they've got like little puppies and kittens, and then they get like beautiful women to do this, to set them on fire and then put them out with their high heel by stamping on them slowly.
There's also another one. Well, I think I was introduced to it through a film
Yeah. I know the film
where
too.
they step on a spider. I think.
Yeah. There's
like
a key,
big spider.
They've got a key. Somebody's got a key. There's definitely a twin involved. Possibly Jake Gyllenhaal's got something to do with it. Yeah. Do you remember this? You remember the name of it?
No, I don't remember.
No, neither. I saw that same movie.
Maybe it was
Gyllenhaal?
Choke. Maybe that was the name of the film.
Right.
Choke.
Okay. Yeah.
With Sam Rockwell, maybe.
Yeah, well, it was too slow. I remember that film. It was too slow. But yeah, the fetish is called Crush, and it's out there.
So
if you're a sick fuck that is interested in that,
but that's a niche.
That's a niche. So we're saying that Immi the Vegan and Crush, more or less the same thing.
They're
both
a niche.
got a niche.
Both niche
and
appeal to a specific target.
They both involve animals, sort of.
Refreshing to also refreshing to make something that is got a female protagonist. So it's entirely it's a female-driven story, I guess you would say. Although Immi the Vegan could be a guy as well. Yeah. But I just never subscribed to this idea that guys can't tell stories about girls and vice versa. As a director, you should be able to tell stories full stop. It had nothing to do with...
But if I had to choose between a male director or a female director telling the story of my life, I don't really know, but I might be inclined to go for the male.
Interesting.
Because I feel like that maybe he would relate to some of the nuances and intricacies of male life.
The misogynistic, philandering aspects of your life, and be able to depict them in a more
relatable,
in a less negative, more kind light, is what you're saying.
No, but if a person relates slightly more to. Well, essentially they would, but no, not just the misogyny and philandering, okay? Not just that, just in general, I feel like maybe a man would understand my line of thinking more than a woman when it came to telling an autobiographical sort of
conversely
story of my life.
Sometimes it's interesting to get that sort of. Or I guess opposite is not quite the right word, but so it's being looked at through this entirely different prism instead of a matey, philandering, misogynistic guy. It's being seen through this lens of a female, just as I see this lens through me as a guy. And then that additional perspective may give it some extra dimension and depth that it wouldn't have if it was
told by a man.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
We'll never know.
Speaking of misogyny, though, I do have a little bit of trouble reading fantasy books written by female authors, and I don't know why. I think it's because sometimes when it comes to the love scenes, it comes to the relationship stuff in books like that, I guess they always feel a little bit like they're told from a female perspective, and I feel like the male characters are, I don't know, just a little bit told from a female perspective, and seems like not as relatable to me.
But I guess the interesting thing about that is fantasy does have a very specific way of they don't really get into specifics. They don't get into the nitty gritty of the sex scenes, which is what you're really gutted for.
That's not true. I have very, very little interest in pornographic literature.
So anyway, I think that's more just the style of fantasy novels that you're referring to. For me,
no, because I've read Tolkien and I've read.
Well, there's the apart from obviously the classic gay sex scene between Sam and Frodo, there's not really much romance in Lord of the Rings.
True. Well, a little bit of Galadriel and that rider. What's his name? Strider. Is that his name?
Yeah, Strider.
Before he becomes Aragorn.
Yeah.
Just to show that I'm old school, Just to show you that I stick to the classics, You know what I mean?
Well, for me, all my favourite fantasy authors are women.
Right, and I know that.
But you still haven't read all the
Robin
books
Hobb.
that I've fucking recommended to you.
Robin Hobb.
You have not picked up a single
Robin Hobb book.
And you have not even read a page.
That might not be true. I think I did read a little bit of Robin Hobb. Sometime.
But famously, her best novels are told from the perspective of a dude.
Right.
It's through the eyes of a young boy who becomes a man.
Yeah.
And so I highly recommend those books, the Assassin's Trilogy, which is now like blown out to 9, and they're all fucking amazing.
All the books I've been reading for quite a long time now are basically Dawkins books.
Jesus Christ. Not actually.
Which are very intellectually stimulating. And then a lot of war autobiographies.
Big surprises there.
People, first-hand encounters of the front line of the Eastern Front, Germany versus Russia in World War II. This is fucking life-changing stuff, mate. Like, I tell you what, you start reading about wars of the past, and you start seeing the patterns of history, and you start realizing that we're all fucked, and we need to have a really constant vigil against the rise of dictators and fascism and Donald Trump. And I mean, Donald Trump, you could never compare Donald Trump to Hitler.
No.
Because Hitler was a genius.
Yep.
And Donald Trump's a fucking idiot.
Yes.
And so, despite the negative things of the ideological stuff of Hitler's beliefs, you can't deny that the man was
smart guy,
supremely intelligent to rise to the top of this. He was in a pit of vipers for his entire career, and he stayed on top, so much so that even when the war was obviously lost, people were fighting to defend Berlin while he was 800 meters from the front line before he killed himself. And then there were still people out there fighting and dying for him when the city, Berlin, the capital of Germany, was completely surrounded and completely fucked, and these people were still fighting and dying for the guy because he obviously had such sway and such a way about him, which Donald Trump simply doesn't have.
His mustache had such swagger.
Well, yeah, maybe if Don got a mo. Maybe he could become one of the greats if he got a mo. Because Stalin as well obviously had a mustache.
All the great dictators
have mo's. So all the best ones have mo's.
All the greatest dictators in history's had a mo. Great insights by Harley Neville on this podcast. So, I've got. Well, have we got any other topic? We've got a lot of. We've got time.
We've got fucking so many topics, mate. Because it's been 3 fucking weeks. Like in the previous episode, there was topics I missed out on, and I was like, "Oh, we'll get to that. Didn't get to it. Yeah, right. So look, I think I want to give a general update of what's been happening, filmmaking and acting wise. Because I feel like there's some stuff we did skip, which was, for example, we had a. Wait for it. So Moldy TV, okay? We did talk about going on Moldy TV, but we didn't talk about how you and I were on the same set at the same time in the same skit.
Yeah.
We were acting across from one another. Well, not quite, but we were acting in the same skit, the Facebook skit.
That's right.
And it was awesome. It was kind of a little bit. Guy was his usual miserable self.
I was really tired.
Guy was very tired. He was on one of his 24-hour benders.
Yeah, I was.
His 24-hour work benders.
Yeah.
And then he had to do 2 skits for this show, only in Aotearoa, which will be coming out at some point this year, and we will, of course, share it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. But what was cool about this one was we had both acted in separate skits individually, but this one we were in the same skit together. Now, for me, that's actually a moment, and you might not realize it, but it was a moment, because it was, as far as I'm aware, the first time that you and I were on mainstream television as actors, just acting on TV, just in an episode of something, which is pretty awesome, because when we were teenagers, obviously we hoped and dreamed about being famous actors and stuff like that. And now here we are, finally acting together in a TV show which is actually going to get broadcast, which if you look at the rest of the shit we've acted in, most of it doesn't get broadcast.
Most of it goes nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, I Survived a Zombie Holocaust on TV on heaps of channels in America, and Guy does have a brief cameo in that. Did that get cut? Are you still in it?
You're still in it.
Yeah. So Guy has a cameo in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, so I guess that kind of counts. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was cool. Moldy TV. Also, I had this audition, and it was a really horrible, awkward audition for a movie which is filming in Rarotonga. And apparently, I'm still waiting to hear if I'm going to get it. But like the audition,
They haven't got back to you.
Well, they haven't.
Still waiting.
No, they haven't got back to me, but they haven't told me that it's no either. You know, like so I'm still on hold. And if I get it, obviously it'll be fucking awesome. And the role, I'm well and truly capable of the roles. There was like 3 different roles I was eligible for, and they're all things I could totally do. And I'm not concerned about that. But when I showed up to the audition, it was like, okay, cool. So, so it's not actually an audition, it's a table read. That's what they told me before I showed up. It's a table read. So I was like, okay, cool. So me and some other actors are going to be sitting around a table. We're going to work our way through the script, reading it, and just, giving voice to the words on the page, Yep. And I was like, sweet as. And he was like, cool. So, you don't need to do rehearsal. You don't need to know it off by heart or anything like that. Then I show up. It's just me and him. There's no other actors.
There's no table.
There's no table. There literally was no table. It wasn't a table read. It was a read. And then it was like, okay, cool. So here, do this to the webcam. So I still had to, record.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just a read. It was an audition, and I was standing there, and I think I even had to say my name at the beginning. As if just 100% an audition. I was like Harley Neville, Catherine Rawlings and Associates, and then I went into my audition. But of course, I didn't know the lines, so I had to read them. I was literally holding the script, and then he was like, "Okay, cool, that's great. Now do it with an American accent." And it's like, whoa. Listen, there might be some actors out there that can just drop in and out of accents, but I'm not one of them, okay?
There might be some, legitimate, qualified actors that do this for a living.
Who have been trained.
And that is, one of the skills that they obviously need for every single thing because, they want to act in American stuff and they're New Zealanders. But that's not me.
But that's not me, okay? So listen, if you want me to do an American accent, that's fine. I can do an American accent.
I have to go away and learn that phonetically
exactly
over an extended period of time.
I have to phonetically learn the script that you've sent me in order to get the American accent right and do the acting. Okay? Now, is that so much to ask? So he was like, okay, so do an American, and I was like, oh, okay, boy, yes, I'm doing my American accent now. And then he was also like, oh, we don't have the script for this one, so I want you to just improvise. Just improvise some stuff. Here's the deal. You're the captain on a small ship which is doing pleasure cruises for tourists. So, okay, the tourists are coming on the ship. I want you to improvise everything. Here's the settings, here's who your character is and what's really going on behind the scenes. So now you're welcoming these people on board, get them on board. Oh, and don't forget, American accent. So it's like, you want me to improvise a scene that I haven't read in an American accent.
Destined for disaster, for sure.
And so, suffice to say, it was not my best work. It was literally my worst work, and it was embarrassing and it was awkward. And I don't really feel like it was my fault. Perhaps I could have done more prep, but I feel like there was too many wild cards thrown in there, for an audition, because normally you've got time. When you get an audition, you've got time to prep. Okay,
yeah.
It's an art, right? You're not just naturally, doing this shit.
You're not just naturally charismatic,
exactly,
and able to project a screen presence.
Well, no,
it still has to be manufactured.
Exactly, there needs to be some prep done. And so, anyway, I am still waiting to hear about that, but
hope's not high.
Hope's not high, but he actually kind of seemed reasonably happy. So
the funny thing about that one is that Michael Caine, the great Michael Caine, 3-time Oscar winner, or at least 2 times, but I'm pretty sure 3, said, he was like, look, he's like, obviously I've done accents for many things in many roles, but I don't recommend it. If you can possibly help it, try and stick with your accent, because otherwise 50% of your internal acting processing is used up on the accent.
And I'd agree with that.
And so you only set aside this other 50% for actually doing the acting. So you're constantly split between those two things, and you do not achieve such a great result.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with that. The exception being the Australian accent for me is not so bad I can still do some reasonable acting. But it's because it's I lived there for 2 years when I was 11, so I sort of I used to have an Australian accent.
You sure did.
And two, or B rather, A or B or two or whatever it is.
Second point.
It's pretty close to the New Zealand one anyway.
So only a few degrees away.
So you really just got to talk a bit like this and go, yeah, don't be a fucking dickhead. And so on. So that one was for Jamie Oxley, I guess, that wee accent there. That was for Jamie Oxley, the Outback truck driver. Hope you're still listening, mate, and thank you for listening. So next thing that also happened that was related to TV and stuff was that last time we spoke on the show, I had an audition coming up for a commercial which I had previously been shortlisted for. It was a continuation of the season. I went along, the audition went well. Although they didn't have anybody for me to act across from. They were just the casting agent was the person that was acting across from, and the person that was meant to be there didn't show up. But anyway, didn't get it. And then also No Caller ID screened at Midwest Weird Fest in the USA. So Midwest Weird Fest is a brand new horror festival in the USA today. This was the inaugural festival, and so you guys should go check it out, Midwest Weird Fest. And it went well, and the reason why I know it went well is because Maddie Holiday Von Stark, now her name might just be a Facebook name. I've never met her, but she is a Facebook friend of mine, and she went and saw No Caller ID at Midwest Weird Fest. She said that it was well received, and that everyone clapped afterwards, and that it was a busy, maybe not full house, but it was a busy screening.
Great.
So that's what we want, No Caller ID is the gift that keeps on giving. Now, we have potentially 2 more screenings, festival screenings of No Caller ID coming up. There's one whose name I can't remember right now, but they specifically requested that we submit, and they can't be too far away from announcing something. And then there's another one in Los Angeles that it looks like we're going to be accepted into as well. So I'll keep you updated on that. But still, that's pretty exciting, right? 2 more screenings of No Caller ID in festivals in America. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, look, while we're talking about all these auditions that you didn't get, Harley, let's talk about the audition that I did get. Let's talk about the big dog right now, acting in his countdown ad. So we didn't really cover this because the last time I'd just been cast in this countdown role.
So you got the role last time?
I did.
You did, and I said, "Oh, well, good,
That's
good for
right.
you."
But we hadn't shot it yet, so I had the experience of shooting it, and it was quite hysterical.
Yeah.
Because basically, the worst thing on set to be is the actor who's fucking things up and holding up the entire production.
That is absolutely the worst, right? Because there's a certain this is why the actors get the big bucks, right? Because at the end of the day, there is this moment where the entire set stops. All these people who have been running around, setting up lights, doing the makeup, touching the thing, doing the moving, the blah blah, all these people, and then on top of that, the clients are there, the producers are sometimes there, the director is obviously there, and so there's all these kind of powerful, important people, including the money people, and they're all there. And then there's that one wee moment. There's that one moment where everybody stops. Everybody on set stops, goes completely silent, turns and looks at you, and waits for you to do what you do.
Waits for you to deliver. Because that's also the other thing, is like essentially they're all setting up for 2+ hours for you to deliver for your 3 seconds that you're required. You don't have to deliver for 2 hours like they do. You only have to deliver for 3 seconds while they're rolling.
Sounds easy.
That's all you have to do. But inevitably there are these situations on set where essentially an actor just can't get something right. And that actor was me. But it's the worst feeling in the world because you know that everyone is getting more frustrated with you. There is this slight sort of exchange of looks between them, not maybe directly to you, but like from the director to the assistant director or the DOP.
Well, you know as well that maybe the producer's having a word to the client out the back. Oh, don't worry about this. Happens all the time.
And there's this kind of just the sense, because and then they come up to you, no, don't worry about it. It's great. Don't worry about it.
You're doing a great job.
You're doing a great job.
You're doing a great job, Gary.
Let's just go again, Gary Pigeon. Let's just roll again. But I was an actor, and I've never been that actor before. I've dealt with those actors before. I've certainly had many actors that are kind of fucking up something over and over again, and they just can't get it quite right. And I've been on that side where I've been like, for fuck's sake, you just have to take one step. Stop moving out of focus. Could you just stay in focus for you just don't move your body so much, whatever it is that they're doing. The line is this. Stop throwing in these 3 extra words that make the line make no sense anymore. Harley.
That's not what I do.
But, so I've been on the other side of it, but I've never really been and I have, I've been in a couple of ads, and I've never been the guy that's been fucking it up until right now. And basically what happened is I had, and also the thing about filmmaking is you prepare, right? And you try and be as best prepared as you can, but always the elements are somewhat conspiring to undo your good work somehow. There's somewhat...
it's never as easy as it seems. It's never like, walk over there and say this thing and do this action, Yeah.
And also inevitably you think the thing that you mentally prepare for, and you go, this is going to be an absolute nightmare getting this shot.
It's that whole act across from the doorknob thing.
Yeah. You're like... you prepare, you go, I know this is going to take ages, I know this is going to be real hard. And then quite often that bit is actually not too bad. And it's some random thing that you never factored, you never even considered would cause a delay. You never even thought would be possible to be a problem is the problem that just sneaks up out of nowhere.
Do you think that's a self-fulfilling prophecy where you have prepared for the hard bit so it goes really smoothly because you've prepared for it, but you haven't prepared for the easy bit because you were concentrating because you're worried about the hard bit, and then as a result the easy bit is hard and the hard bit is easy? I
honestly think it's more just the completely random chaotic nature of filmmaking, where it's that you just never know what it is that's going to get you, but someone's going to get you.
Well, look, to all of you people out there that are judging actors, saying that they're shit actors and stuff like that,
saying that Harley Neville's a shit actor.
Look, I just please bear in mind that anytime you see an actor, he's not actually in the place that he's pretending to be. He's not really in the Matrix, He's actually on a film set, and he's acting across from a doorknob because they moved his stand-in out. He moved the other stand-in out of the way, or the other actor out of the way, to get the right shot. Yeah. And at the same time as he's doing that acting, he's also in a low-budget production. Perhaps he's also holding the microphone or the light stand, or any number of other things. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot more to acting than it appears.
So anyway, all I had to do, I was playing this dad in this ad, and all I had to do was squirt some tomato ketchup on my son's hot dog. He runs in.
No, there's nothing here. There's absolutely no dirty comments that could be made here. There is nothing to say.
Just had to squirt a bit of the old ketchup on my son's hot dog.
Yeah.
No biggie.
Not a thing.
He runs in.
No innuendo.
My dad puts the sausage in his bun.
So your dad, as in your son's granddad.
Yep.
Granddad takes the sausage and puts it in the boy's bun.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're standing there.
I squirt.
And you're ready to squirt.
And I just squirt all over this hot dog.
This boy's hot dog.
The young boy's hot dog.
Yeah. Well, I guess, the hot dog did come from the granddad, so you could argue that you squirted on the granddad's hot dog, which was in your son's bun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I tried to do.
Yeah.
But so basically, it was not a super complicated shot, except the ketchup bottle that I had was not easily squirtable. It was, and but it had to be that particular ketchup
and
bottle.
this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? There are
variables,
issues that the actors face where it's like, okay, cool. So all you got to do is squirt the sauce.
Easy,
and
right?
You go, sweet as, cool. I'll squirt the sauce, and then it's like, no, but this is the sauce we're providing, and it doesn't really squirt. So just pretend it squirts. Just do a good squirt job.
and so essentially, what happened? It was really quite like I was getting quite stressed out. So the first couple of times, I tried putting on the ketchup, and they're like, it needs to be quicker. It's not quick enough. Remember, this ad is like 15 seconds. And if we're taking 2 seconds with this ketchup squirt, we're really losing time to get all our shots in. So you got to do it quicker. And I was like, okay, check. Quicker squirt. All right.
That's 30% of our time for this commercial is taken up by your squirt. Yeah. That's unacceptable.
Yeah. So anyway, they're like, so let's do it quicker. So first time I try and do it quicker, no ketchup comes out. It still took too long. And that was the problem, is this non-squirtable ketchup bottle. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just...
What's the fucking story? How come they've got a non-squirtable ketchup bottle? And who invented a non-squirtable ketchup bottle?
So this was an ad...
Was it like a glass one where you've got to whack it on the bottom?
No, it was a plastic one. But this was an ad for a specific brand. So they had to have that.
So it was an ad for sauce?
No, it was an ad for a supermarket. But they had to have all the supermarket's own home brands.
So the home brand...
Yeah. Now, home brand, of course,
without you... I mean, we've already said which brand it is, but the home brand of this particular supermarket obviously has a subpar squirt bottle.
And possibly a subpar ketchup.
Wow.
Yeah. Potentially. In terms of its consistency for squirting.
Right. So do you think the issue came from the bottle or from the consistency?
I think it was a combination of the two. So
it was probably all like light and watery on top and like thick and chunky at the bottom.
But, basically it just was like...
That's how I like them.
It was not easy to squirt on. So it took too long again. So the next time I squirted harder. But in squirting harder, it didn't actually make it come out quicker. But when it came out, this ketchup just exploded all over this boy's top.
Yeah.
So they only had one top.
Well, let's keep in mind what this means as well, from an acting and filmmaking perspective. You got sauce on the kid's top. Okay, well, that's a wardrobe issue. That's a problem. Okay, because now to reset the shot and to try it again, where it doesn't squirt all over the poor lad, then you've got to give him another top, because you can't have sauce on his top.
Yeah.
But there's only one top. Or maybe there's not. Maybe they've got a spare top. And just say they do have a spare top, which in this case they didn't. But just say they did. Well, that's still a reset, and it's still time, and it's still, send the such and such to grab the thing and the top and the wardrobe and where's blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And it's like, it's stress and it's an issue, and we're all standing around waiting, and it's all your fucking fault.
It is all my fault. And so that's exactly what they had to do. They took the wardrobe, took the top away, had to clean off the ketchup.
And then dry
it.
Yeah, so they had to wash it off by hand and then blow dry it with a hairdryer or something.
Yeah. And so then, and I was like, okay.
Well, why didn't wardrobe have multiple costumes available? Given that there was fucking sauce flying everywhere.
Well, they didn't expect sauce to be flying everywhere.
Well, they saw the script though, right? And they saw man squirt sauce on boy's sausage while it's in his bun. Right? So, I mean, hey guys, word of advice, perhaps have a second top available.
Be prepared.
Just be prepared for some sauce squirting somewhere inappropriate.
And so anyway... the next couple of times, tried it again after this big reset. And because I was trying to be careful, it was coming out too slow. And they're like, look, still coming out too slow. Maybe change how you're holding the sauce bottle. So I changed the way I hold the sauce bottle. Makes absolutely no difference. And they're like, look, it's still too slow. Oh, that one was out of focus. Oh, so now we're getting like 9 takes deep into this. And they're like, okay, you know what? We're going to just shoot this as an insert. So now you're going to see everything in soft focus. It's just going to be the sauce. So they're like, but you really it's really important. It's really important that you squirt the sauce on quickly. It's really important. I was like, okay, check. So, cue to the next take. I squirted sauce all over the kid again.
Yeah.
So they had to reset again. Yeah. They had to go through that whole thing again. And then finally I figured out, I was like, because by this stage, we're a lot of takes in. I'd fucked this up a lot. The sauce had gone on the boy twice, and I appeared to be mentally disabled. I appeared to be mentally disabled that I was so bad at my acting that I could not convincingly squeeze tomato sauce
onto a hot dog.
And they were greatly regretting their
casting,
and then I was basically, to anyone that was listening, I was like, look guys, this is the problem. Look, see, I'm squirting it, okay, but nothing's coming out. So then I squirt it harder, and that's when it shoots out, and that's going to be too much for the hot dog, guys. I'm not mentally disabled, okay? This is an actual technical problem. And then a couple of people sort of tried it out. They're like, oh yeah. Okay, so what you're going to have to do, because it takes several seconds for the build-up for it to squirt out, for it not to be too dramatic, is you're going to have to start squirting before the hot dog is ready and prepared and held out. And so a few more takes of that, and now I'm really shitting because I'm just starting squirting
before it's even ready.
Yeah,
the sauce is going to go all over the kid or the ground.
Yes,
not the hot dog at this point, and you're squirting,
and I'm squirting, and thank God in one of these takes we managed to do it, and the timing was right, and it went on the hot dog. But in doing that, if you look at the ad, there's this huge continuity error because my hand's at a different
in the wrong
spot.
place. Yeah,
and
it's not huge. It's not like, as a casual observer, it wasn't a problem for me.
Right.
Like, I only knew about it because you mentioned it, and even when you mentioned it in your Facebook post, I watched the ad and didn't really have issue with it, although I did see what you were talking about.
So we did get it at one point, but it was very stressful.
Well, look, if
and I did not enjoy that part of the
acting process. Now, if you guys would like to see more about, I'm getting a phone call. Should I take that?
No.
Or no, that'd be unprofessional.
Well, no, because I do have to go. So
right, okay.
Well, I've got to go in like 20 minutes.
Okay, all right. Look, well, that person can just go fuck themselves. Now, what was I saying? Oh, so if you want to see guys squirt, all you need to do is go along to facebook.com/guyandharley. That's the Facebook page for this very podcast, facebook.com/guyandharley. And I have shared it there, and I will share it there again. And you can see guys' acting debut, well, not acting debut, commercial. You can see his commercial and see him squirting and see what all the fuss is about. When you watch it, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Didn't seem like it would be difficult.
Exactly, and that's exactly what everyone on set thought as well.
Yeah. They're like, let's put this guy on the blacklist.
I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah. All right, now look, the butt chronicles, my favourite segment. It's all about my butt.
Yeah.
And how I have got a pilonidal sinus, which is also known as, coined by Guy, hairy butt-itis. And essentially it's as Blair Martin...
Do we have to keep reiterating what it is?
A member of the Hardy Hundy, Blair Martin, he said, he described it as a septic pus tunnel. Septic pus tunnel, yeah. So essentially it's sort of a hole at the top of your butt that doesn't heal closed ever. And they don't know what causes it. And this is 2017. They literally don't know what causes it. They think it has something to do with hairs.
It's a mystery.
But they're not really sure.
A mystery of modern science.
Women get it. Men get it. It's not exclusively for males, but it does seem to be more common in people with thick hair. And so basically at the top of my butt crack is this hole, and it doesn't leak pus every day or anything like that, but sometimes it does. And I've been trying to get an operation for the last 2 years or so to get it fixed. I went to the doctor. Now, I've had it in the past. Guys had it in the past. And I've had an operation. Guys had an operation. Guy's operation was bigger than mine. They put him under for it. Mine was just done with a scalpel at the emergency doctor. And it went away for 5 years or so, and now it's back. Now, I've been trying to get an appointment. I went through an incompetent doctor, didn't get the appointment I wanted. Finally, after all these years, I've changed doctors, and I went in the other day to do a consultation with the doctor at the actual hospital this time, with the surgeon, not with the doctor, with an actual surgeon, to talk about getting this operation done. So for whatever reason, as mentioned in the previous episode, they sent me a letter confirming my appointment and also giving me an enema kit to self-administer this enema before I went and saw the doctor. Now, I thought this was strange, and Guy said it sounded like a classic district health board fuck-up.
Yeah.
Where they think you're getting, you think you're getting your pilonidal sinus, a superfluous
exterior
surface skin operation, and they think you're getting your lower intestine and testicles removed.
Yep.
And so they send you an enema kit because they think that, the doctor's going to be like finger pounding your ass at the consultation. And I got the kit, and I had a really, really pretty strong suspicion that I was not actually required to take the enema, to use the enema. But, I'm a stickler for the rules, Guy. Particularly if they stipulate sticking stuff in my butt. And so...
That's when you want to follow them most rigidly.
Exactly. And so I did. You look a little bit like you don't believe me, though.
I am skeptical.
You don't believe me that I did.
Well, no, because I feel like
enema.
you didn't do it because it was a waste of time. You didn't need to do it.
Didn't need to do it, right. Well, look, I've got some audio for you, Guy.
Okay, so I have my Micolet micro enema kit with me. I just drank a coffee. That's more or less an enema for me anyway. This seems like an entirely pointless process. But nevertheless, I'm just going to insert this into my back passage, brackets, rectum, and then, hey, this is not so bad. And then I'm going to gently squeeze the contents in, and theoretically I should feel the urge to move my bowels within 30 minutes. But given that I already felt like moving my bowels, I just feel like this whole thing is a bad idea. Ooh. Okay.
So that was the real audio of my ordeal. I just want to paint a picture for you. I had no pants on.
Obviously.
No undies.
Obviously.
I did keep my t-shirt on, and I did keep my socks on. I was on my back on the bed with my knees up as high as I could get them. And that was how I inserted that.
What about the second phase of that? Were you still there?
Well, okay, so then... Well, I did also go to the bathroom not long afterwards. But, yeah. So anyway, look, that really happened, okay? That really happened. And then what's funny is that I got to the doctor's 2 hours later. I got to the doctor's, and he was like, hey, Harley, come in here. So I went in, and I sat there, and he was like... And I was like, yeah, I did that enema. And he was like, yeah, you really didn't need to do that. And I was like, well, they sent it to me. And he was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. That was entirely unnecessary.
And stupid.
It was idiotic that you would even do that. And so I lay on the bed. And I assumed the position on the side, at the doctor's now, and he had a quick inspection, and he was like, cool, so let's go ahead with the surgery. We'll be in touch in about a month with your shoot date, with your surgery date. So I'm waiting to hear now from that. But the Butt Chronicles are advancing.
The Butt Chronicles are alive and well.
They are. And I am going to get my surgery.
Well, we'll quickly open up the old Uber files.
Whoa. Just before we get into the Uber files.
Okay.
We can end on the Uber files. But I did also just want to point out that you said about auditions and you're landing roles and I'm not landing roles. And all that type of thing.
You wanted to quickly recap to that thing that was said half an hour ago that really stuck in your craw.
Just want to say, I have landed a role. And I've got a major shoot upcoming. This is very exciting for me. I have landed a role in a film by a guy whose name is Stephen Baker. He made a great film called A Love Story, which is a short zombie horror film. And it was really good. It was finished to a high standard, very professionally shot and all of that type of thing. Exactly the type of production you want to be associated with, as far as like no-budget productions go.
Very deceiving title.
You think? Well, it is. I think it's a love story.
But definitely if you're thinking of like...
Well, if you want a zombie film, you might not watch one called A Love Story, I guess.
And also if you want a love story, you might not watch a zombie film.
Watch a zombie film, true. I liked the name though. But yeah, so it's called A Love Story. I don't think it's available online, but I think there might be a trailer online, I'm not sure. But anyway, this film was his first major short film, I'm pretty sure, other than 48-hour films, and it did really well. And it got into Busan Festival. Busan? I keep on saying that right.
Busan, I think.
Busan Festival in Korea, which is the same one that I Survived a Zombie Holocaust got into. It was actually in the same year as I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and it won the jury award, which is apparently almost like a first equal kind of award. So the jury chose that film as the best film of the festival, and
coincidentally, they did not choose I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
Well, Zombie Holocaust was not in competition. His film was in competition at the festival. And he got flown over there by somebody as well, whether it was the Film Commission or whether it was the festival or whether it was a combination of the two, I'm not sure. But the point is that his film turned out great and it did very well. It got into a bunch of festivals. It won some shit. He got flown around and now he has kind of relationships with the Film Commission and so on as a result. And so... he's doing his next film, and it's a continuation of the same world, different characters, but the same zombie world. And there's only 3 characters in it, plus obviously zombies. And I auditioned. I had to do a self-tape, which is always difficult because you're just kind of just guessing as to what the director actually wants from the performance because you have no idea because he's not there to tell you. So you just kind of shoot your own thing and send it to him. And he was very happy, and I did a second audition, and I am proud to announce that as of like only a few days ago, I got the role. And I'm filming at the end of April, me and 2 other people, and I'm not the hero, but I have more lines and perhaps more screen time than anybody else in the film, which is kind of awesome. And I'm playing a bit of a, without giving too much away, I'm playing. Well, I'm definitely not a hero. We'll just leave it at that. I'm definitely not a hero. So I'm very excited about that because that's going to be hopefully a great opportunity for me. And I'm acting across from this Hollywood D-list starlet who her name is Carly Baker. Car like automobile, car. Lee like Bruce Lee, not L-Y. Carly, that type of Lee. Baker. And I am excited about that because she's been in a bunch of things, and it's going to look great on my show reel to have scenes acting across from her and just to make those connections and to network with a person who's, moving in the horror circles in Hollywood, which is the same types of people that I met at Screamfest and stuff like that. So that's really awesome. But I did message her the other day, added her on Facebook, sent her a message, said, "G'day Carly, g'day Carly, how are you? Looks like we might be co-stars soon. Breaking the ice. I was like, obviously I'm going to be acting with this person. I need to establish a relationship with them to do better acting, right? Left me on scene. Left me on scene. No reply. No acknowledgement. No, g'day Harley, can't talk at the moment, but yeah, looking forward to it. Nothing. Left me on scene. Upset.
Cold. So, if you ever need to be reminded that you're not very important, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. If you want to take someone's ego down
A notch.
a whole bunch of notches and make them feel real bad about themselves, that's how you do it.
A literal no reply. You know, I mean, I was only really messaging from a professional standpoint of like, well, we're going to be working together. Let's break the ice now. So I added her, and I was like, and she accepted. So I was like, okay, well, obviously, if I've added her, I should send her a message just saying, hey, it's me. How are you? No reply.
Film reviews. Quick film review.
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yep. What did you think about the gay kissing?
Gay kissing?
Yeah, that's why it's so famous. That's why anybody's watched the movie, because all the Christians got up in arms about the gay kissing in it, because I think maybe the teacup and the fucking candlestick are gay or something. But apparently there's some gay kissing in it.
I don't remember that.
It's in there. There was a big scandal in the Christian world because, you know, like, I mean, sure, nuclear proliferation, world hunger, and yeah. But cartoon kissing of homosexuals is unacceptable.
Well, it's not a cartoon, it's a live action.
Live action kissing of fantasy
teacups.
Of fantasy teacups is unacceptable. And they are cartoons.
Candelabras.
If it's CGI, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, I don't know who did the kissing, actually, because...
maybe they cut it out of the New Zealand version because we're too conservative.
Well...
But in the American version, because I know that Angie went and saw it with her cousin, and they saw it, and there was definitely some gay kissing in there.
Okay, well, maybe I'm just so used to seeing gay kissing and all the porn that I watch that I was completely oblivious to it, you know?
You're just like...
water off a duck's back.
You're like, that wasn't even gay kissing, that was just kissing.
Yeah. You know, because, you know, that's the kind of guy I am. But I don't really remember that. But what I do remember is that it's a big fucking waste of time.
Well, look, mate, you're going to see a children's movie starring the chick from Twilight.
No, it's not. It's starring the chick from Harry Potter.
Whatever. It's all the same shit to me. Like Twilight, Harry Potter, literally exactly the same.
Harry Potter
don't want to hear it. Exactly the same.
Better
Twilight.
written.
Twilight for magicians.
Distinctive differences, but the Harry Potter fans. Dumbledore is spinning in his grave right now, Harley.
Well, Dumbledore's a made-up thing.
But anyway, well, look, this was my, like, there's a thing in Hollywood, right? It's called doing a remake / a reboot. And we've talked a little bit about it before.
Now, listen, I want to know something about this Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I know the question you're going to ask, but anyway.
Well, you probably don't.
I think I know exactly the question you're going to ask.
Okay, well, Gaston.
Is he hairy?
Is Gaston...
And does he say, every inch of me is covered...
Every inch of me is covered in hair.
So, see, this is how well I know Harley, that I knew that was the question he was going to ask. And I was actually going to get to it, because this is very pertinent. For starters, I was going to say, you would hate it, because that line is cut.
So they made Gaston a smoothie, did they?
They did.
They
made him a smoothie. So, and I was like, how are they going to do this? Like, is he going to have, like, you know, is he going to have a hairy chest? And are they going to do that? Or, like, I was really curious. I was like, this is Harley's favorite line. Harley has talked about this line since he was, like, 13 years old, to me. And so I knew that you, like, because it's still a good song, the Gaston song. It's still a great song. It's still very funny. It's probably the highlight of the film. And the guy that plays Gaston is really good as Gaston, but needless to say, they cut that line.
Isn't that funny? I mean, this is not the late 90s, man. Like, shaved chests are not cool anymore. So
I guess they thought that if they did that live action, because, you know, clearly...
He doesn't have a hairy chest.
So they would have to do it sort of Austin Powers style.
Yeah.
And obviously Austin Powers
is comical.
It's comical in the farcical way.
Well, yeah, they should have just cast the hairy man. I mean, Gaston is traditionally viewed as a hairy.
Classic discrimination.
It is.
Harley.
It is.
Classic discrimination. And so anyway, but I think that, like, you know, these remakes and reboots, lots of them don't really measure up. Lots of them kind of don't really capture the magic. And I was trying to think of it, like, why this is specifically. And I think a lot of it is just because movies are a moment in time. and they're a moment in time captured and frozen, and they're a group of events, that come together in a magical way, a great film, But that's not really like, yes, it's skilled people all doing skilled jobs, but it's a fluke that it happens that well, that a movie becomes so good that it's around for 20 years and they want to remake it, That's not most movies. Most movies turn out not very good. So it's trying to recapture lightning in a bottle. And I think that whether you try and recapture lightning in a bottle exactly the same way you did it, or add some new stuff to it, either way, you still can't do it because it's lightning in a bottle. But to my point about Beauty and the Beast, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this live-action remake of the Beauty and the Beast, except the fact that it was a cartoon exactly the same 20 years ago. And there's absolutely not, it's literally exactly the same.
Well, except for they took out Gaston's hairy shoulders.
Except they took out the key thing that made it Harley's favourite Disney movie of all time.
But bestiality.
But apart from that, it just, I think, illustrates why remakes are fucking dumb. Because it's literally like, we've all been duped. That's the other thing. Disney has duped the world with these new live-action remakes. Because basically, they're saying, hey, watch this beloved classic. The only difference is that it's real people and CG instead of all cartoons. Like, literally, we are doing this exact thing. That's the only difference. The same songs, the same outfits, the same fucking everything. You're just watching actors in, real life as opposed to a cartoon.
Well, look, I'm okay. I'm absolutely okay with the updating of classics, for example, say they wanted to remake Full Metal Jacket, right? I'd actually be all right with that. If they remade Full Metal Jacket with Band of Brothers style production values, I would be 100% happy with that, because I feel like there are times when classics need to be remade because the technology is better. The issue is that they remake them and they make them shitter because they're kind of trying to pander to the original fans, but they're also trying to bring in new fans, and they kind of end up somewhere in the middle where nobody's happy.
Well, I just think that, what is insane about this is now looks like it's going to gross over $500 million in the US, over $1 billion worldwide. So Disney are going to, basically roll out all these live-action remakes. So the next one I think that is coming
is Aladdin, right?
Ultimate Blasphemy, Aladdin.
Yeah.
Poor old Robin Williams.
Well, okay, poor old Robin Williams, but I would like to see Princess Jasmine in real life.
All right, giggity goo.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to deny that I'm going to go see that, and that will be one of the big...
Also, do you not think that it could be the beginning of a very interesting public discussion about Islam and stuff? Because they can't have fucking Aladdin and Jasmine not being Muslims. They got to be Muslim.
Yeah,
it's set in a Muslim world.
Yeah,
it's an Arab story.
They'll just never talk.
They just won't talk about it. But still, just the idea of portraying a woman such as Princess Jasmine, who wears the veil and has all of that stuff.
But who's going to play the genie?
Well,
how can you fill those shoes?
Yeah, they won't be. Well, I'll tell you somebody that could fill those shoes and who would do a very commendable job would be. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Jim Carrey.
That's his name.
Ace Ventura.
Pet Detective.
Pet Detective.
As he's known, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Imagine if you just go up to Jim Carrey and you go, Ace, how's it going?
Remember that movie you did 20 years ago?
Ace, I really loved your work in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Can you talk out of your ass for me? But anyway.
I get it.
So, Beauty and the Beast... these Disney remakes are the most unnecessary remakes because they are beat for beat, but they're just live action.
Yes, but they're live action, so they're employing a whole bunch of actors and they're creating content and generating revenue and keeping the industry alive.
Just watch the fucking old one and make a new Disney film.
But nobody's going to do that.
But they are. That's the thing. These
and also
Disney
new
movies.
Disney film. Can you imagine a new Disney film called Ugly and the Animal, and it's an entirely new concept, and who's going to watch that? No, you've got a built-in audience when you when you create Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, those types of things, you know there's a certain amount of people that are going to see it. And
Yeah,
then
like
even
me. Got tricked.
Exactly, like you.
I got duped.
Dumbasses like you.
Do not get duped, people. Do not do it.
Yeah, well, so there's something to be said for building on an existing brand, obviously.
I guess
and I would trust a Beauty and the Beast remake more than, for example, I never saw the original Pocahontas. So when they remade Pocahontas, I never went and watched it because I was like, well, I don't even know anything about this world. I don't care, you know? And whereas Beauty and the Beast, it's like, okay, well, at least I've seen and enjoyed the original.
They're
so
remaking.
they're
remaking Pocahontas
again,
a live
like
action.
a third time.
Live action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, the point is that there's a brand to build on. I'm more likely to go and see it if I've heard of it. And so that's why they do need to update them. And I'm not even against them updating films and remaking old films, just as long as there's still a whole bunch of original films and as long as they do better.
But that's the problem. They're
not doing better.
They're not doing better, but also those 3 big Disney films that are costing $200 million means they're not making 3 new big Disney films that could be the next Lion King, the next Aladdin. And that's the issue, is like back when they're making Aladdin, they're like, fuck, what are we going to do? We just made Aladdin. It's amazing. What are we going to do? The Lion King. Oh, that's even better. We just did something even better. And now there's this mentality where it's like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do? We just made The Lion King. Let's make it live action. Exactly the fucking same, because people are dumb. Stop being dumb. I'm talking to myself as well.
Well, you are talking to yourself because you're the one who just...
Well, I'm trying to...
literally just paid for...
Well, but that's the thing, is I'd never
a live-action remake
I'd never
of
seen
Aladdin.
any of these live-action remakes before, right? And because Cinderella also came out a year or two ago. And I was like, well, I like Beauty and the Beast.
Drew Barrymore.
And I'm on board. So provided that...
Just breathe.
That they've taken some, you know, so in some new directions and expanded it. Sweet, let's do this. They haven't. Fucking...
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. Is they're not breaking any new ground. They're trying to remake the old one, keep everybody happy and the new people, and that's the problem. Whereas it needs to be like, let's remake this. Let's take the kernel of inspiration and use all of our technology and money and turn it into something brand new and exceptional that is a continuation
I think
of the brand.
I think they should be like, Disney is the brand. Disney is the property. That's the brand. So let us not remake anything. Let us create the next Lion King. Can be live action, can be cartoon.
Well, look, I 100% agree with you. I guess the only issue is you can't blame them for making money.
You can
only blame
over
the
fist.
people. You can
Hand over fist.
You can only blame the people
and yourself
that pay to go
at this point, because I did it.
Well, I'm blaming you.
Yeah, it is my fault.
It's your fault.
I'm the problem, but I'm trying to become the solution. I am now officially boycotting all live-action Disney remakes, but I probably will go see Aladdin for the Princess Jasmine thing. Only for the Princess Jasmine thing.
Yeah, well, at least pirate it, okay?
Yeah, maybe I'll just pirate it.
Okay, just pirate it at least.
Maybe I'll just pirate it out of protest.
Okay, well, look, I've got how long you got? You got to go?
We got 10 minutes.
All right. Well, look, I've got a quick review for you. Life. You saw it. I saw it. The listeners may or may not have seen it. Now, I'm a big fan of supporting sci-fi. We all know this. Not really very seriously. Like, I don't go along and support like obscure sci-fi. But when it comes to
Ghost in a Shell,
which I probably won't see. But the trailer looked alright.
It's better than Life. I can tell you that right now.
Well, look. I like supporting the sort of the big budget Hollywood blockbuster sci-fis.
That's an even funnier statement. I don't like supporting the thought-provoking, low-budget indie sci-fis, which I think are probably going to be shit, but a big blockbuster sci-fi with A-list actors, I'm on board.
Okay, Ex Machina, what's that to you?
Yeah, that would be
that's low budget.
Former, lowish budget.
Thought-provoking.
Yeah, $16 million.
Okay, well, look. 16 mil. I loved it. I thought Ex Machina was awesome.
Ex Machina?
It's not Ex Machina.
I know.
Ex Machina was awesome and a very good example of a great film.
I had an Ex Big Machina the other day.
You did. Well, actually, do you know last time we spoke...
That was a Harley Neville patented dad joke that I turned back on you.
Well, no, but it was so bad that it wasn't even really a joke.
Honestly, that's what you do all the time.
No,
you come in with these asides.
You cannot compare X Big Machina.
Yeah, with whatever your last one was. Yes, I can.
No, you cannot. Now listen, I did, just before we continue with the sci-fi thing, I did go to McDonald's again since the last episode.
Right.
Now, the last episode, we did discuss about how I went on this road trip down to Tongariro.
Got an Angus.
And I ate 2 Mighty Anguses, one on the way down, one on the way up. Yeah. And they were delicious, but evil. Well, and then in that same episode, we talked about the Chicken Mac, whatever it's called.
Oh yeah,
the big chicken.
The which is basically Big Mac sauce,
but with a chicken patty, two chicken patties. Yeah. And look, the big chicken or whatever it's called.
Yeah. I
tried it out.
Yeah.
Like literally the same night as we recorded the podcast.
had McDonald's on the brain,
and it was very delicious.
That's your review.
Well, it was delicious.
Okay.
You know, I mean, like, you know, obviously it left a bad taste in my mouth. So anyway, Ex Machina is awesome. That's great. Now, I like to support these big budget sci-fis when they come out, because my line of thinking is, and I'm sure I've touched on this before, if we all go along and see sci-fi films, well, then we create a civilization where people, for their spare time, for their downtime, are thinking about space and exploration and the future of humanity and what we could achieve and what we might achieve and how we could achieve it, right? And so I think that's a very empowering thing. I want, you know, these dumb motherfuckers who are walking around our streets to go into the cinema and get taken into the future for a second and get shown this concept of what the future might be, instead of going along and looking at a fucking man in his undies with a fucking cape on. You know, it's fucking stupid. You know, like that doesn't in any way benefit society. Whereas people going along and watching Star Trek, I mean, Star Trek's a great example because Star Trek inspired a lot of real life technology / predicted a lot of real life technology. We don't really know. We honestly don't know what is the cause and what is the effect. But I think that Star Trek inspired a lot of the real world technology we see today.
As did Isaac Asimov's stories about robots inspire a lot, like a huge amount of robot makers and robotics. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I feel that as a human who cares about the future of our civilization, I've got a responsibility to support these big budget sci-fis so that they continue to make them, and ultimately one day we might advance as a species because these ideas are propagating.
Well, that's great, Harley, and that's very profound. And I'll just add to that the synopsis of life.
Whoa. Which we haven't got to life.
Yeah, we have. You've just said this is why you go see sci-fi films.
But that's why I say sci-fi. But I haven't got to my review of life.
Yeah, I know.
Or what it's about.
So I'm just going to give you a little, you know, after those profound words that Harley never just said of exactly why he goes to see these sci-fi films. This is the synopsis of life. Okay? A large Martian Jizz monster is found and begins to grow thanks to humans supplying the Martian Jizz monster with oxygen. This Jizz monster escapes its captivity and then goes around the ship hurting people with its jizz.
Right, well, that's all in the trailer, so we won't do any crazy spoilers or anything like that.
So, the you know, profoundly moving humanity forward with the Martian Jizz monster, Harley Neville, take it away with your review.
Okay. Now, listen, I did look into this one. I watched the trailer, and I shared the trailer on the Guy and Harley Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. And it was, I was cautious because it looked pretty shit. But it had Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, is it Gyllenhaal or Gyllenhaal?
We'll never know.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds, obviously cool actors, interesting actors, successful actors. They are together in a sci-fi... Hot bods. Definitely hot bods. And so, yeah, I was cautiously optimistic, but pretty cautious, to be honest. And it was far, far worse than I could have ever imagined. It was... straight away... you could see there was just so many things wrong with it that it was like, okay, well, hang on. Is this sci-fi or sci-fantasy? Because at the moment it's just ridiculous. Like straight away, right? They capture this. They get a wee microbe. Right? No spoilers. This is all in the trailer.
Martian Jizz.
They get a wee microbe, and then they've got one guy who's in charge of like researching this microbe. Now, this is the first discovery of alien life. Life beyond Earth. Okay? There is absolutely no chance that one guy would be in charge of it. There's also no chance that this one guy would be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to make the atmosphere more like primordial Earth, and then turn up the carbon and shit to get it all just right for the situation where this thing might grow. It's like, no. Hold up a second, mate. If you turn up the carbon to create the atmosphere within this containment chamber as if it is the primordial Earth, which is maybe what Mars was like a billion years ago or whatever, well, hold up. You might kill it. You might kill the microbe. You might kill the first evidence of life beyond Earth. So the protocols...
Oh my
involved.
gosh, the protocols.
The protocols involved. If you discovered alien life, whether it's a microbe or if it's a fully functioning fucking multicellular animal, right? You're still going... The protocols involved mean that no one person is going to have the access to kill it like that or to grow it like that. It's just silly. It's just silly. And then it's like, okay, these guys, their job is to...
I guarantee you no one else cared about that particular point.
Everybody that's remotely intelligent cared. And those people, they were like...
They cared about the protocols. The damn protocols, man.
Well, look, we're talking about protocols. Let's get into the quarantine protocols, guys. Because
Jesus
like,
Christ.
okay, here's a
Glad
fucking...
we left this to the end.
Here's a fucking alien, right? We've caught an alien, all right? Now, okay, the protocols, the quarantine protocols associated with that would be next level. We're talking like crazy shit. We're talking like this is the most valuable thing that humanity owns at any point, right? This is like a huge deal. There is absolutely no way that we would be like letting it escape. And yet, due to incompetence of the crew, this, as far as I can see, incredibly unqualified crew that was working on this thing, they like let it escape around the ship, and it's like, okay, that's just not going to happen. And then it's like he says, it's this kind of weird jizz monster, right? And it's a shitty, weird CGI jizz monster.
The jizz expands.
That jizzes around the ship in zero gravity and like, sort of hurts people. But it's like every single time a person dies, you're not like, oh no, don't you die, crippled black guy that unleashed this monster, don't you die. And then he doesn't die. He doesn't die at all. He keeps on not dying for like another fucking 45 minutes. And like, by the end of it, you're like, fucking hurry up and die, man. You're such a shit character. All of these characters are so shit. And whenever they died and had their emotional farewells, you weren't like, oh no, my heartstrings. You were like, oh Jesus, my purse strings. This will cost me a lot of fucking money.
That's a Harley Neville dad joke thing there, right? There.
Exactly. That is so much more clever
than Big Mac. Big Mac X Machina.
X Big Machina.
X Big Machina.
is nowhere near as clever as purse strings. Okay? You've got my dad jokes all wrong. All right, so anyway, look, the point is that it was very terrible. I wanted to leave. The cinema was empty. Most people were fidgeting. I was angry. The end made me angry. The whole film made me angry. I still had a nice time. I watched it in the
nice time though.
I watched it in the best cinema I could, VMAX, and I just went by myself, and it was fine. I had a good time, but the film itself was fucking shit, like truly terrible. And I sincerely hope that the next sci-fi is better. And just to give people sort of an something, there's totally a word that I'm forgetting, but basically to see where my sci-fi tastes are at. I did enjoy Passengers, which a lot of people hated, but I did really enjoy it. But that being said, when I went and watched it, it was Angie's last day in New Zealand, I was feeling a little forlorn. We went along, we watched VMAX, it was just her and I, like there was basically nobody else there, and we watched this movie about love and space and solitude, and so maybe that had an effect on my impression of it.
So if you're going to check out a sci-fi film, forget about life, but probably consider Ghost in a Shell, which is quite good. Is it as
Have
good?
you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. And I've got to make this a short review because I got to go.
Guy's got his wrestling training.
ScarJo's nude suit. 2 thumbs up. Big time.
One in the butt. One in the nothing.
So that is my review of Ghost in a Shell. Visually sumptuous, stunning. Storyline wise, definitely better questions about are you a robot, are you a cyborg, is this a remake of RoboCop? All valid questions, but definitely worth a watch just for the visuals alone. Does take it deeper than life, but not as deep as the original anime that it's based off. But then again, the original anime that it's based off did not have the nude suit factor, providing 2 thumbs up.
Okay, so we will wrap it up here. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry about the delay. If you go along and support us on Patreon, you do actually get special sneak peeks into what we're working on. I just released one recently. It was a little cheeky sneak peek into one of our projects. You won't know what it is unless you become a Patreon supporter. So go patreon.com and search for Pigville, and we are there. We currently get $25 a month from you guys, and we think that's fucking awesome, and we really appreciate it. So please go along and check that out. The other things you can do to help us are to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, because that also helps us a lot. You can also hit like on the Facebook page, facebook.com/GuyAndHarley. And the most important thing you can do, in my opinion, is go along to YouTube, search Pigville and the number 2. But if you search Pigville, you'll find us. But search Pigville and the number 2. That's the name of our channel, Pigville 2. And you watch our videos and hit thumbs up on them. And we get paid directly as a result of you watching that video. So that's a great way to help us. So thank you very much for listening. Do all those things, and we love you, and we'll try not to take 3 weeks for the next episode.
See you later.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.